Welcome. So tonight's stream, we're going to talk about USAID and some of the contracts, some of the better contracts, and also some of the best contracts out there. Of course, we all know the best contract so far is the $20 million they gave to Sesame Street to produce an Iraqi version of the Sesame Street TV show. So let's play that for you all real quick. Hold on, I'm going to share the sound too so you guys can hear the sound. Give me 1 second. It's even funnier with it. Oh, yeah. $20 million. Because Americans dropping bombs on your village are funny, and way to culturalize the young kids and children of Iraq into being, more understanding of American culture. So yeah, it's your taxes. Yes, your taxes paid for this. $20 million went to this this effort. This is what they decided to do with the money for the project, and that's how much money they got for this piece. That I know like 14-year-olds that could have thrown this together in just an afternoon on the internet. So the perception management and social engineering part of these contracts is a key to all this, and definitely what we want to focus on tonight, in addition to the well-spent money on this Sesame Street film, which was probably the best $20 million they spent. Back to COVID pandemic and the propaganda campaigns that these psyops that they tried over the last. Let's take a look back at some of these psyops, shall we? I wasn't going to bring this up just yet, but seeing as I showed it, I can't unshow it now. But this was a
as of today, there have been 38,160 cases of COVID-19 in Oregon.
This was during the pandemic.
390 new cases being reported today. Sadly, we are also reporting 3 deaths today, bringing the statewide total.
It was like Halloween, and she thought that dressing up like a clown would be, a better way to reach, child audiences and stuff. And they have a bunch of other doctors that came on, dressed as other things. I just one news reporter that reported on this actually, made the joke about, why didn't they just dress up as doctors? And that's the funniest thing. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. This was real doctors during the pandemic, or people that dressed up and pretended. I don't know if they were, I don't know why nobody's allowed to give medical advice, but these people on the internet, and a lot of my interviews speaking out about the truth during that time got taken down and flagged. It was really quite ridiculous. Everything that's come out now about that. But yeah, just it's a fun look back. This actually happened. This was real. That is another thing, of the reality and the timeline that we're now living on. Yes, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, yeah, this is America right now. But anyways, back to other things. This was just the best. Was the Bernie bro. Oh, did you guys see this? This was great. I gotta play the another clip of Bernie that's been replayed from the Senate hearing.
You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. You have started a
Sorry, you used to talk about this with your doctor and they think you were crazy. And now a lot of doctors are, in fact, waking up to the safety, that the safety oversight, all RFK is asking for with the vaccine policy is two things: informed consent, number one, and number two is informed consent, and then the number two is sorry, and why am I drawing a blank on this? I just said it because, well, my sound was off. Sorry about that with the mute button. I didn't want to while the other things were playing. But we want oversight. We want regulation and safety. So safety and regulation of the vaccines. Those are two very simple things that the concepts that need to be relayed to these people that still don't understand what's going on with the whole narrative, and are it's not that it's all anti-vaccines. It's just that we're pro safety of vaccines and we're pro informed consent, and there's been none of that for the last since the 80s when they got rid of it all. And these vaccine companies and Big Pharma are just running rampant. And the fact that anybody as a politician should not have taken any money from any of these people. It should have been illegal for them to give politicians money in the first place. And those politicians should have known better than to take any money from Big Pharma. And those Big Pharma dollars are really kicking their asses right now, nationally, as far as the public's concerned. But back to the whole UFO psyops, the recent psyops is this, Jake Barber story. He's got a number of people that are, there's a number of others in the UFO community that are really rallying the wagons, so to speak, around the CE5 protocol and that issue, right? So CE5 is this supposed contact that you can make with aliens through this meditative contact experience. And, even you got, this is Diane Walsh Pasulka on there saying talking about the dangers, and you don't know what you're summoning, and there's a lot of people that think these people are summoning demons and not or angels, or not really summoning UFOs or aliens or any of that. And I've tried this protocol. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for any of my scientific colleagues. A few people that I know of online who one of whom I'm a little bit credulous of. I just don't really know if I can trust everything he's told me, but he said he saw these things, and then I have one other person that said that they've done it, but I've never, really what I've said needs to be done with the whole thing. And I just wrote an email to Professor Avi Loeb of Harvard right here in Massachusetts. So I said, hey, Skywatcher apparently has all these telescopes and stuff, and they want to investigate these UAP. Why don't we use Harvard University as the proving point? We can get, let's invite a whole bunch of people who supposedly have these psychic abilities and have done this, and let's all do a big group meditation on the roof of the observatory. People go up here and hang out up there. There's a nice fenced in area and lots of telescopes and viewing platform and everything right on the roof. And we could, I'm sure, Avi's the head of the astronomy department and one of the main guys over there at Harvard. And I'm sure that he could, if, we promise to be respectful and not, trash the place, that, we maybe get invited over there to perform this scientific test, because if it's not science and it's not repeatable, then it's worthless and it's garbage, and you have to throw it out and move on to what you can do something realistic with in your day-to-day lives. This doesn't matter how many people said it, doesn't matter how many people are supporting it, doesn't matter if John Birch, not the John Birch Society, who's John Blitch, is that the guy's name? The superior officer for Jake Barber there. So yeah, this guy, it doesn't matter if his boss says that it's real, he's telling the truth. It doesn't matter if Ross Coulthart says that he's telling the truth. It doesn't matter if Jeremy Corbell, Lou Elizondo. It doesn't matter if Tim Burchett says it. It doesn't matter if, it doesn't matter if the whole world says it. It doesn't make it true. Appeal to authority or appeal to popular or public belief is not a proof of anything in the scientific sense of the word. So it's really up to the viewer to decide. And I say the best test that we can do for this is not with Skywatcher's telescopes and waiting for Ross Coulthart and the Skywatcher guys to provide us with a 4K video of a contact experience. It's to bring it to Harvard or MIT. I picked Harvard because, they have a guy who's friendly to this stuff, and he's much more open-minded and challenging his colleagues in the scientific community to, hey, let's think openly about this, and let's really, keep an open mind to this and give this a chance, right? So that's why I picked Harvard over MIT. MIT might have a little bit newer facility with, I don't know, Harvard's got some decent optical equipment and telescopes and stuff though, right here. They got the big dome, and they got these two smaller ones, and I'm sure Avi would be there and he'd bring out the big guns. I'm sure if we really did a thing like this and it worked the first time, and we could do it again and again and again and get these things to show up and film them for scientific purposes with our scientific instruments, that would be huge. And that's the best way that we as a community, I try to help this community. I'm not counterintelligence. I'm counterintelligence. I'm helping the community to counter possible counterintelligence using the scientific method. Ding, ding, ding. The best method for really evaluating the truth that there is in the world. It's better than 12 strangers in a courtroom. It's better than any of the methods that we currently use to assess truth and decide truth in modern government and society. So let's do that. I don't care if 12 guys all say that online that this is real. They could all be working for the Majestic 12. These could be the 12 Majestic 12 guys or the disinfo 12, covering up and spreading nonsense propaganda to cover for, a lot of real stuff, which we've uncovered. Especially, all the stuff that's coming out about the vaccine companies, and they haven't yet realized, that we're in control now but none of the real stuff's come out yet. You guys have to realize this might take time, and they're going to stonewall. They're going to keep doing everything that they can to stop this. And but we need to expose the clowns, man. We need to expose these clowns that spent $20 million on this package. So let's talk about the USAID thing and this whole social engineering defense. It's called the war description is called active social engineering defense. Large scale social deception. It's funny how it's shortened to LSD. Very reminiscent of the CIA's MK Ultra history, with so much LSD drugging and involvement of people being dosed with LSD, like who's the guy, Frank Olson. You guys know the story of Frank Olson. This is one for the record books to really. You don't read the Wikipedia article. You got to watch the whole original news report on it that they did in the 70s. There's a whole documentary that was put out by, I think, CBS or something, that just what they had back in the 70s. More stuff has even come out about his other connections and to the Army Warfare Laboratories that created a lot of the dioxin and it was a part of Operation Sea Spray. It was part of all these spraying programs. Basically, all the government aerial spraying programs were started by this guy, and then he was killed from LSD during the MK Ultra experiments. Really, really one of the key people to look for in government documents and really for research purposes is Frank Olson. Anything connected to that guy, including the CIA agents who covered up his death and lied to his widows for years after his death to cover up all of this, and but yeah, the terrible stuff. But the Operation Sea Spray was, very similar. This Bacillus globi guy, and other people are reporting that fog that's been seen around, and then all this other stuff too is people are reporting. I don't know what's going on with the whole aerial spraying stuff, but I hope the right people get to the bottom of that, and I hope that we, if there was funding for that through USAID project, I hope that that's been cut off, and that those illegal activities will end, and we'll find better ways to block the sun out if that's what we're doing with the high altitude aerosols and metal that we're spraying in the atmosphere and stuff. So anyways, a lot of people are turning, man. We're gonna get a ton more subs, man. There's just the people that are turning out in droves and realizing that, hey, this guy's not a hater and a troll. All the perception management that they tried to label me as in the social circles. They had hundreds of bots, telling people that I was just a troll. Don't listen to this guy, block him. They had all this effort out there to really control perception management around key individuals. And if you look in the contract and what these people did, it was really about identifying where people are getting their information, looking for major distribution hubs of where people are getting their, the major influencers. So they basically mapped out all the people in the community, and they mapped out all the major influencers, and where that data went to, from there, it's not quite clear, because they may have another division or another company that handles special tactics and operations. I know they hire a lot of law enforcement people and lawyers and that kind of stuff. This is definitely CIA, man. This is like FBI, CIA, NSA all rolled into one. This is like deep state, black ops, psyops, counterintelligence at the heart of it. And bro, this is all coming the fuck out. This is huge. This is huge news. And this is a huge relief to me, because I have been a direct victim of psychological deceptive tactics and all of these tactics that these people have employed illegally in this country to domestic U.S. citizens over the last, 5 to 10 years. Because I was talking about this 10 years ago. I said that they have to. I just had this, because what I used to do is I used to influence tons of people by finding these hubs. I'd identify the hub videos, and I'd get in there. I'd get in there early and leave like the top comment, and I'd make sure it's something amazing. And I'd have a bunch of other accounts that we go and get that to like it, and we boost it in the algorithm. And they realized that we were doing that. And that was like our big method for pushing out tons of truth early on, like 12 years ago, when I used to just sit on the computer all day, every day and do that, to try to spread, truthful information. Oh yeah. Where do you find this document? Here you guys go. If you want to get the document and read it yourselves and really dig in. I know there's a lot of nerds in the community here that follow me to get access to this stuff. So let's get some other eyes on this. But really, what they do is they looked for the key sources. They looked for people like me. Look, they had computers, keeping track of people like me and modeling the trends. And they also employed an army of influencer bots that were all run by AI to engage. And you know what? It became obvious to me after a while who the bots, some of them were bots, and they had to replace a lot of those bots because the bot technology is just not good enough to compete with intelligent humans who can immediately just, when you realize that this is not I've had like the same conversation 3 times with 3 different people that just show up and just have a instant response and and they never get tired. They don't take bathroom break. They'll go for 6-7 hours straight and not take not take a break and not break character, so it's a bot on a lot of the stuff, especially when they can't engage on certain arguments, and they just have their typical, they go to a typical response, or they try to derail back, so a lot of things would get repeated. And I'd noticed like tactics that were you could just see the programming that you were talking to a bot. And so a lot of that is I knew about. And I said, this is going on. I made videos about it and talked about it. And of course, the trolls would show up and they'd shadow ban the video, block my account I was stuck at 99,000 subs. It would not let me go above the 100,000 mark for months until I went on Tim Pool. And then it stuck. We watched it stuck there for like 5 days. And then finally, 5 days after that Tim Pool appearance, it finally budged over the 100,000 mark, and now it's stuck again somehow before it was stuck at 115,000, and now we just broke 115,000. So they're rigging the number systems behind the scenes too, with the algorithms and the what shows up with the view counts on certain videos as well. And this is all our Air Force, all our military that's paying for these types of counterintelligence and subversion and psychological tactics, which are directly, it's psyops that are being run on the American people. And it's caused massive psychological harm to the American people. And I wish I could, yes, I was on Tim Pool, the U.S. Navy episode, and I think that channel is deleted now. And I don't even know if that interview can be found anymore. But yeah, I totally was. And I've been to Tim Pool's house, and I'm good friends with Ian Crossland of the show there. I've known him for years, since he's been on YouTube, years, like a decade back. So yeah, I know all those guys, dude. I knew them before they were big. And Bill Ottman too. Good friend. Yeah. So these guys are I try to tune them in, but, mostly Ian he slips in a lot of the stuff on the Tim Pool show, stuff that I'll update him on. But yeah, this is key. I need to tell Ian to watch this episode specifically so that Tim Pool can report on this, because this has affected all of us. And we ought to get a class action lawsuit for anyone who's had their media account like actively suppressed over the last several years by counterintelligence operations, trying not to get the truth out, trying to suppress people or get the community to perceive them as trolls through perception management techniques and tactics of group management with the bots and the influence bots that circle around this kind of stuff and sort of insulate this group of counterintelligence actors like Lou Elizondo that have formed a limited hangout operation or limited hangout narrative around a few key grifters who are in the UFO club. No one's allowed to really enter the UFO club but those people. And so that's how we know a lot of that is set up. And again, this is all cool, but this ain't the full story. We're just, if this is what's come out so far in the last 2-3 weeks since President Trump's taken office, man, oh baby, we need another year. We need another year for all this information to come out. And I tell you what, I really want to get a lawyer to go after these fucking people for what they've done with the bot farms and how they've targeted channels like mine and others who've just spoken the truth and showed the truth for what it is. And then again, you get this I thought was interesting, and I'll share that. Tim Gallaudet.
There are individuals who I will not name who I believe are getting paid, but every day they get out online and they're well known in this UAP community, and their number one job is to discredit these national authorities, these people like Lou Elizondo, who was with the task force, the UAP task force. I've met and trust and know, and he is 100% who he says he is, and what he says he's seen and knows, I have total confidence in. People like him, he's an active target of people discrediting him and others too.
Interesting. Is there anybody I should be looking out for?
Gosh, I don't study this like other people do. Some people they really spend a lot of time on this.
Yeah,
I'll ask you
I'm just not
offline.
going to name names because I don't know. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Say my fucking name, bitch. Say it. It's Jeremy Riss, alien fucking scientist. Corbell does the same thing. He says, "Oh, there's these debunkers out there, and we don't need to pay attention to them. It's all perception management. It's all crowd management, and it's the same kind of counterintelligence tactics that these other people use, man." And Sean, get me on your show unless you're part of the shill club too, man. Like, I wonder about you. And then he supposedly, he comes out with the Chris Bledsoe episode, right? Sean Ryan. If you guys know, Sean Ryan interviewed Chris Bledsoe months ago and canned the interview. He just sat on it for some reason. He said, "Oh, I can't publish this. It's too controversial and doesn't align with the beliefs and the other things of this channel." Dude, you have like all kinds of nut jobs on your channel saying all kinds of shit. So doesn't Joe Rogan. So doesn't all these people. They're totally uncredible people that none of your shit aligns with. That's no fucking excuse. Get the fuck out of here. You knew Sean Ryan, it's very suspicious that he would have held on. And now here he is showing off the new construction on a new property. Man, like, I put all my heart and soul into this. If I put this into like a real job or if I was working for the feds, man, I'd be building a house too. But like, where do you get the money for this? Who's paying you for this? And how did you know in advance? It's like you knew that to hold on to this story, it would create more controversy, and then you could release that along with all the psychic stuff, so we'd get a massive barrage of all this psychic summoning UFO nonsense all at once, right? It's very curious that you would hold on to that Chris Bledsoe interview and then release it right in the midst of the new Trump administration taking over and all this, fake UFO stuff, egg psyops, left-handed gay egg psyops getting all this attention. And then you could pretend like, oh, look, I still have credibility with the UFO community. This is the interview we never censored. I'm going to release it now. The interview that we never censored. and here it is, and that's just blows my mind, because my buddy Lou on Lou Reviews, uh, Lou Reviews. Let's look that up with Bledsoe. If I can't find the video with this, look, they hide a lot of this stuff with the searches, man. Like, they totally hid that. Why can't I find what I'm looking for? It's bringing me sports results. Clearly, Drew Bledsoe, but go to my page and you scroll down. Yeah, this is the UFO community. Okay. Congratulations, guys, because the 200 of you who are here and watch, and the rest of you who watch this channel, are the cat on the right. The other 90% of the public are this cat right here, and they're still chasing the laser beam. Okay. They don't even know about the laser projection technologies that Joe Rogan just was shown recently on Joe Rogan podcast by Brett Weinstein. Again, I was on Brett Weinstein podcast and told him about all this to begin with. And then here's the interview that my buddy Lou Reviews. Again, this is Luis Jimenez, or Lou Angeles, at LU Angeles. And his channel is, let me bring that up, bigger screen so you guys can see it. But yeah, Lou Reviews, he got into this like back in the day. He did the Big Phone Home, and he was all super into the UFO scene and really hyped up about it. And lately he just looks like he's so burnt out and so angry at all the fakes and the disinfo that and that's, I hope you understand, how long I've been doing this and how many times I've been there, man. It's not a fun place, but yeah, this is good on you for getting 500 views on this, because
You feel like
the whole thing is these guys claim that this guy from NASA came out to study them and really take notes on the family. They claim that they talked to the aliens, all this stuff, and then they say that they can summon them, but they really don't appear for the skeptics. They usually only appear for the people who really believe and have genuine intentions. So you have to have certain intentions in your heart, and if you have any bad intentions or anything like that, it will prevent the UFOs from being summoned. But really weird is that he's got a garage full of UFO drones and remote control airplanes. There's at least 7 remote control airplanes just in the backdrop behind him in this video alone, from this one angle. So again, back to the real challenge at hand. The skeptics thinks these are freaking airplanes, dude. These guys, right? I know you got some cool telescopes with the Skywatchers program, but if you can summon real UFOs and not remote control planes and remote control helicopters and drones, if you're not selling nonsense for money that will be picked up and promoted by the artificial algorithms that promoted all this DEI and woke bullshit for the past so many years, where people aren't getting hired based on merit and character, and so many other horribly just unfair practices within government, and just nonsense. And we're back to ground rules, back to real core ufology, and we can talk about the science again. So at the next hearing, none of this psychic egg shit, and none of this nonsense, because and we don't have to have unity with any of that crap. The idea that, oh, we all need to get together and work together for the UFO movement, and how can you be an outlier? No, unity without purpose is meaningless. Okay. And yeah, if if they come and really summon these things at the university, then boom, that's real science. And we can all be like, oh, holy shit, we can actually start paying attention to this now. This is important. Yeah, and Diana Walsh Pasulka and that weird Tim Taylor guy that was her source that came out with supposedly all this information on the American cosmic stuff and then disappeared, right? Yeah, I know all about that stuff. I name names and I talk about it openly. I'm not like fucking Tim Gallaudet, where I'm going to go on Sean Ryan podcast and talk about these people who exist somewhere out there in the space, but I can't name them. I can't talk about them or, you know, dare mention their names. And oh, you know what, I'm really not that much of a researcher myself either, that I can't, you know, I can't really even talk about that, right? This is Tim Gallaudet, this supposed admiral. And again, a lot of these guys claiming, you know, things from are just they're clowns. They're clowns dressed as nonsense actors selling us crap. Like, who is Jason Sands to be the first guy to talk about this reptilian alien stuff on Joe Rogan? It's got 2 million views in the last 10 days. You know what would happen if my information, if I could get on Joe Rogan for 1 hour and get 2 million views in 10 days? That's what my videos used to get. Believe it or not, I have some videos with 2 million views on them. I have an interview I did a year ago on Concrete Podcast that has 1 million views on it. Get me on Joe Rogan. It'll be the best. You know, I don't care. It will be the best, most grossing episode of Joe Rogan podcast ever. It would be a 4-hour interview, hands down, and he'd want me to come back. Hands down, he would. Especially with all the new information I'm getting on the JFK assassination now, that more stuff. I'm just digging into it super hard these past couple days because I want to get ready for this big JFK file release. I want to know everything about the case to look for. I've got a whole bunch of more names that we're going to talk about tonight. But damn, Joe Rogan should have had David Icke on the podcast already to talk about, you know, he's raising a huge stink about Trump and Elon. And that would be great to just hear, you know, some different perspectives. I don't, you know, not everyone has to agree with me. I have, you know, not everyone has to be a full-on supporter of every political policy of everyone else. And we all have to get along on this planet, and especially figure out what we're going to do once the alien technology comes out and we have, you know, free energy and anti-gravity, if this stuff's real or not, which it may not be. I just don't know yet. I don't have enough information and proof one way or the other. I have a lot of stuff that a lot of people, I just have a lot of people, an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence that I found over the years that has kept me on this path. Because believe me, I'd have given up a long time ago if I thought that there was absolutely nothing to it and nothing's going to come out of it. But we've got a couple great people working on this. But, you know, this guy, again, Stolen Valor is claiming that you were in combat if you weren't in combat. And a lot of these guys, aircraft mechanic, claiming that he was in combat in the liberation of Kuwait, or, you know, in Kuwait. That was Jake Barber saying that. There's a lot of nonsense that these guys have said that doesn't check out. We had a bunch of military vets on the show, on Steve Cambion's show the other night, talking about, and I'll bring that up right now, you know, the all these military vets talking about Jason Sands and Jim Barber and Jake Barber and Lou Elizondo. Lou Elizondo said he was in this firefight pinned down with Mathis, and the dude's been a desk jockey his whole life. He's a counterintelligence guy. He's worked a desk, man. All hard. I know all about these guys and their background, and then Jake Barber saying that, you know, he was a cover for the command and controller. Yeah, okay. Where? And then Jason Sands never touched combat either, and claims that, you know, he's in a firefight with aliens, and it was all covered up. And it's just like, dude, this is the nonsense that gets on Joe Rogan and gets millions of views. Well, real researchers and scientists and academics and stuff, they just don't. If you're not towing a certain narrative, I guess they're just not interested in pushing it because it doesn't agree with their bullshit grift that they're making so much money off of, which is stupid. Should want the truth, especially if you got the power to influence this many people with such a big podcast. Get David Icke on to talk about the damn reptilians. If anyone's going to talk about reptilians, I want to listen to what that guy has to say. He's talking about it back in the 90s, and we can ask him about DNA evidence and a whole bunch, a whole bunch of skeptical questions and get a real good conversation and stuff going. You're not going to get that from, guys that are making up stories, dude, with no proof. Again, and no real in-depth intelligence or knowledge to share. It's just like, really a waste of an interview, in my opinion. Could have done so much better, but anyways, angry. He's angry, but he's old, dude. He's gonna die soon, man. You want to see that guy get, and Billy Carson too. Yeah, dude. I wish. That'd be amazing. There's so much to be angry about in this world. It's crazy, but I don't know what's going to be I think they're trying to control what's coming out because they realize once all the truth really comes out about what they've done, it's really let's get into the Kennedy assassination because they literally they assassinated our president, and they've been on a 72-year crime spree, and they've gotten away with like all of it, and they've done massive, more horrible crimes over the past 70 years, and they've gotten away with every last bit of it. And once people find out about that and start waking up to just some of it, they're worried, and they should be because they have no idea. They have no idea. It needs to come out. All the truth needs to come out. Guy Bannister's office, the whole, why was Oswald down in New Orleans when he came back from Russia working for this FBI super mastermind who worked out in New Orleans, who beat the crap out of his assistant, Jack Martin, and sent him to the hospital in a cab. They detained him and they had a big fight. And over the next few days, Martin told friends that Guy Bannister and David Ferry had been involved in the assassination of John Kennedy. This guy's one of the key witnesses. You never heard of his name before because the FBI covered him up so well, and the CIA covered this guy up so well. But he worked inside Bannister's office, and he was the guy that, he told the FBI about all this. On the 25th of November, right? 3 days after the assassination, the FBI contacted him. And he told him he thought Ferry had hypnotized Oswald into assassinating Kennedy, and that the FBI considered Martin's evidence unreliable and decided not to investigate Bannister and Ferry. Well, they definitely hypnotized Jack Ruby to shoot Oswald. It's almost certain. Because right when they were trying to figure out his mental status and and ask him questions and stuff, right? He was doing interviews with Dorothy Kilgallen and giving Dorothy Kilgallen tons of information, right? That's the whole Jack Ruby story we know. Jack Martin is key to all this, but Jack Ruby is the nightclub owner, connections to the mob. He's a gay man, so obviously no if he's well taken care of in prison, it's not like he's not going to be without sex. There's plenty of gay men in prison. So he's a friggin' brainwash victim of MK Ultra. And while he's in the can talking to Dorothy Kilgallen, she gets whacked, and then he basically, I think he kills himself or something. Yeah, I think he goes crazy and kills himself. But turns out that his doctor was a CIA agent named who's his doctor? The CIA agent that was his doctor. It's not William Joseph Bryan. That's the other hypnotist master that hypnotized Sirhan Sirhan. William Joseph Bryan Jr. is the guy's name. But this was come on, nobody, no, it's not Larry Fink. No. It's some weird name, man. I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue. Who's the damn, no, not, let me see, CIA hypnotist and see what comes up. I don't know why I can't think of this guy's name. Not William Joseph Bryan. That's what comes up. But the other guy, Ruby, his court-appointed psychologist. His court-appointed, Jolyon West. That was his name. Louis Jolly West was his name. Louis Jolyon West. That is it. Yep, thanks. Jolly West. Anyways, it's insane as fuck because, the CIA had this hypnotist out there that was Jack Ruby's lawyer. I mean, Jack Ruby's personal court-appointed psychiatrist was an MK Ultra like doctor. Oh, I think that, him being involved with Ferry, that Ferry may have found other ways to hypnotize him, and then that was like a case. But in any case, they got rid of Oswald, and the whole plan, went according, the whole thing went according to plan. And David Ferry also knew Lee Harvey Oswald from early days with the Civil Air Patrol, right? So Civil Air Patrol in Texas, which, so many connections that are key to the JFK assassination that are going to come out in all of this. And I can't wait. One of the best channels, in addition to the Spartacus educational website, one of the great channels that I go to is Mark Grobert. And we don't always agree on everything. Mark does his own research, and I like to do my own research too. And I don't believe everything that Mark says, and I do my own research into it, and but he's generally been real spot on with a lot of stuff, and he knows just a ton of knowledge on a lot of the stuff off the, I envy his JFK knowledge. If I had that kind of knowledge, it would be awesome. But again, he's had a lot longer in this business than me. But yeah, he's got anything you want to know about Ruth Payne and D. Harold Byrd, Edwin Walker, the Walker thing. I've gone through a lot of these and listened to these. This was an interesting, the whole part 1 and 2 of Edwin Walker and his connections to all these characters. And how Edwin Walker was on a plane when JFK was assassinated and made the stewardess sign his airline ticket, and made an announcement, stood up on the plane and made an announcement that I'm Edwin Walker and I was here, during the assassination. Because he Edwin Walker led this whole rifle, one of the expert marksman teams for the country. So he basically trained sharpshooters to win the prizes at Olympic competitions for sharpshooting. It was right out of Dallas, Texas, and all that. Yeah, so it's just the amount of great stuff in the Kennedy assassination. We just now know that the single bullet theory, the magic bullet, completely false. There's absolutely no evidence to suggest that there was one shooter. There's a mountain of evidence that shows that there were multiple shooters, despite these stupid kindergarten level propaganda pieces that have been created for the news media. It should be investigated who is behind all these pieces too, because this is going to give you a big key into who's running all these psyops and propaganda today. Is once the JFK assassination files finally come out, and it's like, dude, it was the CIA that fucking killed him. Then needs to be the whole process of looking back in the history of all the news agencies that reported this stuff and investigating those people. I would recommend we throw them in prison. I mean, this is worse than anyone. This is worse than January 6th, in my humble opinion. These people have caused more lasting. These people caused January 6th because of all the lies they've had to cover up and steal elections to cover up for this bullshit that in the 70-year crime spree they've been committing, and covering up more crimes to cover up more crimes to cover up more crimes for decades and decades. That it's just caught up with them. And, this is the people responsible for this propaganda and pushing this stuff, and I wouldn't say the news anchors themselves, unless they're, they should be put on a list, definitely for, watching things that they publish in the future, but who their editors and board of directors were, the people that wrote and edited and ran these stories through these companies, need to be investigated, and they need to be goddamn held accountable. They're especially, Lou Elizondo and his team. Let's once again, I want to bring up the petition we created. Let me go to my channel here. I want to find that petition. And yeah, there's a petition that I put out for on change.org. Here it is. Boom. So these guys have had way too much control over the UAP issue. It's been a select group of people, and they've been pushing, a bunch of them have been pushing a lot of nonsense. And like I said, those people need to prove that nonsense, bring it to Avi Loeb's observatory. Let us look at it with our telescopes and our eyes, and get, real astronomers and Air Force intelligence people and people that are familiar with everything that flies to go there and make sure that these are not remote controlled drones that Chris Bledsoe has in his garage that he's fooling people with. And damn, that would be huge, because if these guys are allowed to take over the next congressional hearing and just pollute it with absolute nonsense, we're just not going to get anywhere with Congress or the public's interest, or really, what matters to the American people in terms of, actionable intelligence and actionable reality. Reality, we need, if it's intelligence is worthless unless it's actionable. So all the intelligence that they've given us, none of it is provable, none of it's actionable. You can go and meditate and contact UFOs yourself in your backyard, and it works if you really believe it does. Okay? Just trust us. We have real serious credentials, and we talk like Jesus and say, "You know not what you do. Forgive me, Father. Forgive me, Father, for I know not what I do." These guys are telling the truth, then prove it to all of us and show us this is the way. But so far, the evidence provided to Congress by Lou Elizondo and Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and Chris Mellon and this small group of UFO insiders, grifters, and former counterintelligence professionals who've said that they were told to apply their skill sets of counterintelligence to the UFO community. Those people are still operating. They're operating domestically, psychological operations domestically against American citizens like myself. Massive, massive hammer coming down on people like me who, do actual research into the science of this stuff. They had this TTSA company come out and say that they had a metamaterial, right? Metamaterial TTSA. They got a CRADA agreement with the Army to go study this, and they were going to bring the technology out to the public slowly, and that this was a real piece of a recovered UFO that they had gotten through reliable sources. And it turns out that this was a piece of Betterton coal slag from the lead smelter that someone had chipped off and saved for some, and They had pieces, we're going to do further testing on it and see, but we're pretty confident that this is a nothing burger. But I did, search, it did cue me in to add terahertz waves and some of these technologies that they had talked about. They had talked about terahertz. Joe Rogan, Tom DeLonge said that you shine terahertz at this material and it floats. So I added terahertz to the list of things that I would search for daily, in addition to intelligence leaks, classified information, Air Force OSI, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Those are things I like to keep up with because, when news happens at those kind of places, it gets swept under the rug and disappears rather quickly. And this would have gone over in the news media as a marijuana plant grow bust if I hadn't reported on the three incorrect news agencies in Ohio that were reporting it as a drug bust for marijuana. And I said, why is the U.S. Air Force involved? Why is the U.S. Air Force OSI involved in a marijuana bust and why isn't the DEA there? And why have no possession charges been filed? Because it wasn't for marijuana. That was a cover story they used to, confuse the damn the damn public. And in reality, this guy brought a whole bunch of documents home, which contained classified material, with stuff that he was working on at his job at Wright State University, right next to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They do some classified work for NASIC and Air Force Research Labs, apparently. And this guy was working on it. And what did he specialize in? Well, you read his thesis papers on the public website, and this guy specialized in terahertz wave technologies, which is fascinating. But you wouldn't have found any of that, and you won't find any of that in the public. That's my reporting that, put those pieces together for people. But I found this article and I reported on it 4 years ago on this channel. And that was when the shadow ban and the attacks went fucking insane and viral on this channel. They did not want, Air Force, leaks. This guy went to jail for a year over this. And they did not want any information getting out about that. I'm sure they warned him not to talk about that. But man, these guys, did you think that the guys that came out with a piece of Betterton Kroll slag and told everyone that it was an alien technology that ran on terahertz wave technology would be interested in reporting on a story about an Air Force contractor, working on terahertz technology that was allegedly classified? You think that would be a big story to these, people wanting to get disclosure out and get information out about the topic and confirming science that, backs up something. Absolute fucking silence from these people. Not even a word. And that's when I really, became absolutely convinced that this was a limited hangout, CIA run counterintelligence operation. All of it. All these people, including Vinny Adams. Yeah. He's too dumb to even realize it. And come debate me, Vinny. I'll show you what's up. Get me on your damn show. Jack Fillet is probably the only reasonable one here, and that's because he revealed the information about Project Stork and Battelle. And Project Stork and Battelle, man, that should have been the number one thing brought up in those damn hearings in front of Congress. That's the main part of my petition is, I think I mentioned, I think I mentioned Project Stork in here. No, maybe I don't specifically. But what I specifically want to get in front of Congress is, Project Stork and Battelle. I want to show that, the Battelle Memorial Institute was this private, nonprofit organization that has existed since the 1920s. They built the Demon Cores for the Manhattan Project. So the most classified components of the atomic bomb were handled by Battelle. They have a higher security clearance than the president. The president wasn't even briefed on that component. So they have a higher security clearance on metals that the president's not even allowed to know about. Exactly the kind of company you'd set up to build the atomic bombs were also had the secrecy and the encoding to hide classified programs, like if we recovered alien debris out at Roswell, for example. Well, this is where it would go, and this is how they would cover it up, and this is how they would keep it secret and keep it out of, government FOIA and government oversight and hands, and it would go into a shadow organization that would be so top secret and classified that you'd have to kill fucking presidents to keep it secret for 80 years, right? You'd absolutely have to. In any case, it's all CIA. This is why the CIA was damn created. The CIA and the NSA were created days after Roswell. Everyone who's informed about the creation of these agencies knows that these were created in response to Roswell. They needed this after World War II. After World War II, when we no longer had the threat of any of this stuff, why would we need to restructure the entire national security state and create a deep state? That's when the deep state was created. That's when they hid all this in private corporations and started moving a lot of the intelligence and domestic military and other applications out of the public sector and into the private sector, where it all became run by corporations, that the same people that Eisenhower warned us about before he left office. And again, Eisenhower saw the rise of it. He knew. And then they took out our damn president. Cover it up, man. The USAID thing, again, 96% of the funding has been revealed as just completely nonsense. And this is just scratching the surface of the corruption. USAID is just one branch of the CIA. That's that fourth branch of government drawing. I show this drawing a lot. Let me find fourth branch of government, right? So USAID is just one little twig on that limb, and we haven't even seen a lot of that limb yet. Okay. I don't know why it's not bringing up my damn. All right, it's time to repost it then. I always repost that one. Give me a second. Fourth branch of government. Yeah, so that branch, again, this is just a little one of these. That's USAID is one of these eyeballs, one of these branches. I'd say this would be. They have all kinds of, it's not just one branch going through legislative and judicial and a little, they drew the judicial branch out here like there's only two branches go in the executive, and then the judicial and all these branches are equally just as corrupt and more corrupt than we could possibly imagine. How this cancerous tree of a root has just taken over everything in the American people's lives. The conversations that we have online, monitored and assisted by AI bots and counterintelligence people who are active, If you're not smart enough, they just assign a bot to you and keep you to keep you in a thing. But I bet you I have like full-time agents on my shit. It's been bad, dude. It's been bad, man. The age of man. There's still men in this world, man. In any case, yeah, the fourth branch of government. Yeah. And please subscribe to my new X account. It's Jeremy Riss UFO. @ Jeremy Riss UFO is my new account. If you could subscribe to me there on X, that would be awesome. Again, JFK, Bernie, all these big pharma politicians, man, it's really just a joke. And I'm so glad we have people that are out there questioning the science and not taking it for granted, and questioning these people, because that's the only way we're going to get to the truth, dude. If we just let compromised individuals take over the narrative and say, oh, we have to have unity with everyone, we have to work together for disclosure, and you have to be open-minded to everything. No, that's how you compromise investigations. That's how you compromise narratives. And I'm not willing to make that compromise. You either put up the evidence, and if you don't put up the evidence, then you don't get a turn to put up, to keep putting forth, bad evidence. You just don't. All that nonsense. Elizondo claimed he was part of that Star Child project and all that, and he doesn't appear in any of the documents. And again, correct it if you're wrong, Blue. Don't just keep lying. It's ridiculous. We're all ignorant to a certain extent, man, and it's unfortunate, And then I also want to point out, did you guys saw the Jesse Michaels thing, post on the USAID, right? So Jesse Michaels made a post about basically there was this thing that came out. Somebody posted, this was it, right? Flesh Simulator guy. His name is Flesh Simulator. Okay. If that doesn't sound like a bot account name, this is like these bot accounts that exist in the background have really destroyed the narrative, because they're putting this stuff out. They're existing in this sphere out there of total unaccountability. There's no name attached to this. There's no person you can go after for Flesh Simulator. But Jesse Michaels shares this post, and the guy said that's this USAID grant flow was up on the top or something, and this guy took a screenshot saying that Kenneth Clipperstein, investigative reporter, took $208,000 from USAID, but the payment was actually from the Intercept Media. Whether that money went to Kenneth Clipperstein to publish that article or not has not been definitively proven, but Jesse Michaels took down that quote. He took down this post. This is what he posted originally. It got 2,500 likes, which is amazing. But then it was taken down almost immediately after, which is damn, turns out the reporter that used David Grush's combat-related PTSD to discredit his UFO whistleblower claims was a bot and paid for shill, brought to you by USAID. That is disinformation or misinformation. I would love to interview Kenneth Clipperstein and get his side of this, get some information out of him. But it turns out this is not what happened. Okay. Ken Clipperstein's not a shill for USAID. I don't think there's any evidence that he was paid by USAID. Never, not to mention, being paid as propaganda to discredit the UFO story. So it's a shame that, this kind of false narrative news spreads so quickly, and the truth really hasn't had time to put its shoes on and do the proper investigation into a lot of this stuff yet, which takes time and it's kind of boring. So people are just jumping to conclusions before really digging in and doing the research. And, the evidence is clear to me. If these guys were legit, they'd be reporting on the scientists and the technology and all the science information, and promoting science to get to the bottom of this and get answers. Instead, they're like, no, these scientists and are debunkers, and they're the enemy, and these guys are the trolls. And I've been so shadow banned, and I get so frustrated with these people that it's been difficult. I deal with. And then Sandcorp is the other one. So I talked about in the title of this, the two agencies, Sandcorp Consulting got a $4 million or like a nine, they got $4 million, but it was like over $9 million contract from AARO. AARO paid Sandcorp Consulting LLC, which is this company that, again, they took down the information off their site about what they really do. They build AI bot farms. Okay. You've been exposed. They took that. They even you can't even click on these guys anymore. This was their head cop guy, and he took down his name off their site, and you can't click on these anymore. Since I did the report on this a couple weeks ago, which only got a couple thousand views, by the way. So obviously these people are watching. I don't think anyone who watches this channel would have tipped them off. But the fact is they tightened down their security protocols on their company. And it looks like in response to the video I put out exposing them, and there's a number of their security analysts and other security peoples took their pictures down and their other information off the damn website, man. I found out about these guys, man. I report them. I'm thinking that it was this group or another group that has targeted me directly and personally, and even gone after assets of my personal life with lawfare. That I am working with lawyers currently to resolve. And this is highly illegal, what they've done to the American people. And Sandcorp's, in a lot of ways, from what I've found, looks a lot worse than this active social engineering defense contract or the large-scale social deception contract given to Thomson Reuters Special Services Corporation. These guys are an interesting company, but they don't have the same kind of expertise. These guys, there's a lot of people on their team that at least seem to me like they're good people. I mean, Heather Fisher, she's a senior advisor, and she's basically led the House. She's the White House Special Advisor for Human Trafficking. In her capacity as the Human Trafficking Czar, she coordinated the Executive Office of the President and the 20 federal agencies on the President's Interagency Task Force to monitor and combat child trafficking persons. So I'm not sure if this lady is, she seems like she's being one of the people to crack down on the child trafficking. I don't research a lot of this stuff as in deep as some people do. So some people might have some more information on this that I don't, but I just found that a lot of these people don't seem like they're bad guys. Joao Granja, he looks a lot like Corey Good with a shaved head, but again, these people, I don't see the nefarious characters that I see in the group that AARO hired to do their disinformation and counterintelligence campaign. The people working for Sandcorp seem much more edgy and dangerous to me personally than the people working for Thomson Reuters Special Services. This guy's eyes are so big, I feel like he's this guy could be like an alien gray, pretending to be a damn human being. But again, it doesn't mean anything about how you look, of who you are as a person. And, it doesn't mean that this guy is definitely odd looking. But these guys definitely aren't. Yeah, I don't know so much about them, and maybe we could dig in and find it. But these guys definitely look like more friendly faces and open company than the other guys, except for some of these members of the board. This guy's like a former FBI leader, some really high up, heavy person in the FBI and working with the exploited children and all this other stuff. He's probably the most dangerous person in their group, but he doesn't seem like a a super bad guy. I don't know. He's not like Louis Free, you know, he's not representing the guy who funded 9/11 for the, you know, or the FBI or anything. But yeah, I can. Yeah, sorry guys. Give me 1 second. Hold on. What do you got? Oh, geez, I can't eat these on stream. Come on now. Anyways, we're about to wrap up here. Anyways, Kash Patel in the FBI. Yeah, I hope Kash can clean up the FBI. I'm really not convinced that they're up to the task yet. So far, it looks, you know, like they're doing a good job making headway in the deep state and releasing the JFK files and going after a lot of the funding mechanisms, which allowed for a lot of nefarious media influence operations, which look very, very suspiciously targeted at the American people through, you know, these contractors and other agencies. They hid this money and they hid these operations very well in what they did. And the main one, I think, is AARO giving that money to Sandcorp. That needs to be very deeply investigated, as do the connections between AARO and Battelle Memorial Institute with our good friend Ronald Moultrie. Ronald Moultrie hid his Battelle connections on his resume before, you know, joining the Pentagon, representing the Pentagon at these UFO hearings. That is a telltale sign of dishonesty and deception on behalf of the Pentagon and on behalf of, you know, domestic counterintelligence operations. I think Ronald Moultrie should be arrested, and I think he should face prison time. I think he should be. If this guy gets put in a prison cell and held there for a week, he's going to roll over like a fat pig and squeal so loudly about everything he fucking knows. You can look at it and you can see in his eyes, this dude's a bitch. This dude is a total fucking bitch. And if soon as they arrest him and put him, he's going to snitch and fucking rat. He's got snitch energy written all over his face. You can just see it and read it in his face. And this guy gets arrested, he's going to roll on the whole operation, and he's going to tell things that, you know, they all need to get fucking arrested, because none of these secrets are going to come out until these people do. They get subdued and fucking arrested because they're running AARO, which is supposed to look into UFOs and all this stuff for the American people, right? And it's the fucking same corporations that have covered it up for years running the investigations. Think about it. Think about that. And then they're paying off these groups through the Sandcorp. They're paying off bot farms to influence and promote these complete hoaxers and UFO nut jobs to sell absolute nonsense. Jeremy Corbell can't name any of his sources, so they can just feed him a constant supply of absolute nonsense through this limited hangout psyop that they've set up and are running. And we need to ban these fuckers from testifying or ever being part of these hearings ever again. And I almost want to, I've gotten 80 signatures on this petition. I might start a new one that's more serious and targeted on Battelle and these other contractors as well, because this is serious, people. This is fucking our freedom. This is our goddamn country we're talking about. Those of you who live here, those of you who don't in our other countries, this is the entire world that these people are going to run. And if democracy fails and a totalitarian AI government state is able to take over here in America, it's only a matter of time before it sweeps the entire world, and we have robot police dogs with, you know, miniguns on their backs patrolling our streets with drones locking us down 24 hours a day that will shoot us in the head if we so much dare as say anything to our neighbor, let alone, you know, get on a podcast and jump on the internet and say it in front of 200 live viewers. God forbid that. But that's where we're at. Can't wait for the files to come out on the Jack Martin investigation. I would love to know why the the FBI considered Martin's evidence unreliable and decided not to investigate Bannister and Ferry for potential involvement in the JFK assassination. That is just fucked. We could have had this whole thing fucking over with years ago, and the FBI would have massive credibility and respect as an agency. Instead, they went down the fucking tubes protecting a bunch of scumbag criminals to cover up one of the greatest secrets, the world-changing secret, the greatest history in the entire history of the United States. They're all compromised. Again, guys, dig into all this. We're gonna be digging nonstop, and anything that you find or report, please send it to me. Report it to me here at my email. I check my email daily at jeremyrys@proton.me. That is my email, Jeremy RYS, one word, at proton.me. Please send me whatever you have. You want to be a guest on the podcast, I love it. Jump on here. Let's take some live callers and see what people want to do. And if we don't get anyone, I'm going to shut this on down. So here we go. It's all open now. Bro, the thing was weird is that I predicted and I said about a bunch of this stuff years ago, and I got it all fucking right, and nobody listened. And I'm just laughing because it's like, bro, you follow all these false prophets. Not saying that I'm a prophet, but it's like I made a lot more freaking true predictions than David Wilcox. Just using common sense and science, man, to like really cut through the bullshit on this, dude. It's just, yeah, man, get me on Rogan, but that needs to happen. Yeah, you were here. I hit a bunch of stuff correct, right? Let's go back to my favorite was the David Wilcox and the 2012 conspiracy, So I made these videos back in, where's the where the heck is my video, dude? I have a video where I correctly predicted 2012 back in 2009. And yes, here it is. Boom. Boom. 15 years ago. Okay. So before 2012, back in 2009 is when I posted this video. You can go look it up, 2009. And I talked about 2012 back then, dude, and I nailed it with all the phenomenology and psychology and some of this stuff, man. I didn't nail all the physics and all the, lots been learned and a lot's come out, man, but nailed all the history, and I nailed what all the predictions were for 2012. Why it's all nonsense, man. But heck, people didn't want to listen. And now they're listening to false idiots tell them they can summon psychic eggs psychically, and they're going to get the 4K footage of it all and show it to us, and it's going to be definitive and proving to everyone except for the people at Harvard, who you should have just gone to their university and done it there and do it repeatedly every day for a week. Take a flight. If you are serious about this and can do this, I'll make sure they get all that back, man. It's you would get the money back I'm sure you find a way to fund it and get the money. You've gotten tons of views and tons of supporters and super chats and all that other stuff. You have all the money to do this. This is how we blow it out of the park, guys. You should be scrambling at this opportunity. Let's get a hold of Avi Loeb and all his team. Go on the roof of this building and we'll summon some UFOs psychically, and we can all see and all put that to rest. Until then, let's get these guys out of the congressional hearings, away from the media and the congressional hearings on this topic, and let's get some much more interesting people on the board to bring up some much more interesting evidence. Again, like I have in my UAP summary or my Roswell summary, right? We have tons of stuff between me and Michael Schratt and some of the other real old school UFO researcher. We could, I don't know, we got the tip of the spear, man. And I don't know, we are the tip of the spear, bro. But fucking the problem is that Elizondo is telling everyone that he's the tip of the spear, and he is the tip of the spear now, but they're hitting it with the fucking dull end, and they don't realize it. You know that, hey, the tip of the spear is all the way back here, and you guys are using the wrong end. They've got you using this whole thing wrong, and you're doing the motion right, but you don't have you just have one key thing wrong with the spear. Yeah, exactly. That's a good analogy, man. They get the motion right on the spear, but they don't have it pointed the right way. You got to put all the sharpest, hardest evidence forward, and they have it all pushed in the back. They have it all pushed to the side. They won't report on Isaac Kemp, and I got blacklisted and attacked and viciously shut down after I reported on this story back in 2021. I think I reported on even earlier than that, but in any case, yeah, we'll catch them outside. How about that? All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching anyway, and have a good night. I'm gonna sign off and go hang out with the fam. Thank you all, and please, this is America. It's our goddamn country and our freedom and our future that we're talking about, and we can't let a bunch of UFO grifters headed by a counterintelligence professional just push all that off a cliff because they want to cover up a lot of real history. And I noticed I point this out, and then Sean Ryan does a clip with Lou Elizondo saying that he's actually talking about history. And again, we want to know about the real agencies and the real stuff, and you can't talk about that because God, we're on fire. You guys are freaking the dull end of the spear, and you're they don't realize it, man. This is crazy that people have gotten so many views for all this, the alien menace narrative. This isn't true. There's no threat. He's playing this perfectly. Yes, dude. He's a counterintelligence guy. What do you expect? He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. A lot of people in the agency call him the best in the business. Remember, he used to do 9/11 and Al Qaeda bullshit before he switched to UFOs, right? Fucking nonsense. Take care, guys, man. These people are scum. They need to be arrested. Lou Elizondo should be arrested immediately. There's enough evidence that this guy is running an illegal domestic counterintelligence operation to arrest the guy. Just arrest him and put him in jail and get him. All this threats that's come out, his lawyers threatening to sue me, threatening to sue everybody online. Sue Elizondo, please. I will eat you alive in deposition. This would be the best thing would ever happen to me. I hope you go ahead and do it, and you're going to be done. You're going to be done. And it doesn't matter if you do it or not. You're still done, dude, because we're taking you down. The entire internet is friggin' waking up to this guy so hard. There's still a ton of people following him, but we're at a critical mass now where the tide is officially shifting, and people are really starting to, like, entertain this, and especially with, now that we've got Greer and Elizondo, you know, pointing the finger at each other and calling each other damn disinformation ops. The wall is finally about to crack on all this information. And when it does, man, we're going to get so much of the real info out, so many of the real scientists, and we're going to get people back on track with real information and what we can actually put real funding towards to actually get somewhere with this stuff. Because right now they want to fund psychic egg programs and, all that other nonsense. All the stuff in the DIRDs from the OSAP program, which again, that was the OSAP DIRDs are the crux of all this stuff. And again, all the science that's in all these briefings and all these documents is pretty much all the stuff that we were talking about on this channel like years ago, just getting into. And this is all the stuff that the Air Force and the military investigated as part of this this program. And guys, that document archive is right here. Again, this is the stuff that came out that they didn't friggin' talk about. And I don't know why more people they didn't pay attention to this stuff. And now they've sort of like co-opted the narrative and made it about this psychic egg summoning and CE5 stuff. I don't know if that's to really destroy Greer. I think it almost looks like an intelligence operation against Greer to try to destroy Greer and the CE5 stuff, but also to use that to destroy ufology and wreck the credibility of it, while completely distracting everyone in Congress for the Trump administration until, finally they get so tired of this UFO thing that it goes back into the basket for another 80 years, which is, I think, what they're hoping and trying to do with it all. That makes the most sense to me. But again, the technologies are real. The companies like Battelle are real. They really do still manage all of our national labs, so they have complete control over our science. This is the crux of everything that we need to push into these congressional hearings and for real deep state government oversight on this whole UFO file business. And as long as these people are fucking in charge and playing us, dude, it's not going to happen. We're just going to get played. So thanks for watching, guys. Everyone have a great night, and we'll catch you on the next stream. Later.